Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to
Calvin Talks Music.
Today we will be talking about what makes a good fall song. Could it be a certain instrument, guitar, piano, violin, or is it a certain chord progression or key? We will be doing a deep dive today, so get some snacks, maybe a drink, and a comfy seat as we dive into what it takes to make a fall song. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to help with more content in the future. To understand what truly defines a fall song, we must first explore the bands and songs that, for me, embody the spirit of the autumn season. These are tracks and artists that evoke the mood, atmosphere, and emotional depth often associated with fall. The selections I have chosen for this discussion include Radiohead with their hauntingly cinematic track Spectra, Van Morrison with the enchanting and nostalgic Moondance, David Bowie with his ethereal and evocative classic Starman, and Tom Waits with the dreamlike and melancholic Alice. These particular artists and their songs stand out to me as quintessentially fall appropriate for a variety of reasons. Reasons that delve into their soundscapes, lyrical themes, and emotional resonance. Their music captures the shifting hues and bittersweet tones of autumn, much like the changing leaves and cooling air of the season. In the following discussion, I will unpack what makes each of these artists and their songs feel so intimately connected to fall, exploring their unique qualities and how they intertwine with the essence of the season. Let's begin by examining the elements that make these works not only sonically rich, but also deeply evocative of this particular time of year. Spectra is a song released in 2016 that was initially intended as a tie-in for the James Bond movie of the same name. However, despite its quality and depth, the track was ultimately not selected, reportedly deemed too distracting for the film. While this decision might seem unfortunate, it doesn't detract from the song's rich musicality and unique emotional resonance. One intriguing aspect of this composition is how it captures the essence of autumn. But why does Spectra feel so distinctly like a fall song? To explore this, let's delve into its chord progression, instrumentation, and genre influences. First, let's examine the chord progression. At a glance, it may seem straightforward, but a closer inspection reveals the sophistication behind its structure. Notice the use of major 7th and minor 7th chords, as well as the E minor add 9, which adds even more texture to the harmonic framework. These added tones, specifically the 7th and 9th notes, introduce a layer of depth and emotional complexity that elevates the progression. These types of chords are often associated with jazz and blues as they create a smooth, resonant sound that evokes a reflective, almost wishful mood, perfectly aligned with the introspective atmosphere of autumn. Speaking of jazz, let's touch on the genre's influence on the song's aesthetic. Jazz is inherently evocative of autumn, with its mellow tones, rich harmonies, and relaxed, intimate feel. Even though Spectra leans more heavily on pop orchestral elements, many of the principles that make jazz so evocative, its harmonic depth, emotional nuance, and use of certain tonal colors, are present here. This connection is further highlighted by the song's instrumentation. Orchestral and jazz genres share a significant commonality: the reliance on stringed instruments such as violin, bass, cello, and guitar. All these instruments feature prominently in Spectra, and their interplay creates a soundscape that is both lush and melancholic, key contributor to the autumnal character of the song. Why does the violin feel so quintessentially autumnal? The sound of a violin has an organic, almost human quality. Its ability to glide between notes and produce expressive vibrato mirrors the fleeting, bittersweet nature of fall. The timbre of a violin can be as crisp as fallen leaves crunching underfoot, or as warm and resonant as a cozy sweater on a chilly day. It's the perfect instrument to encapsulate the season's duality of vibrance and decay. And in Spectra, it serves as a cornerstone of the song's mood, evoking the golden hues and soft breezes of autumn afternoons. Also, maybe I'm looking into it, but what holiday is closely related to fall? Thanksgiving? No, Halloween, doofus. And what is commonly related to Halloween? That's right, the devil. And what is the devil notorious for playing? Well, it's the fiddle, but basically the violin, so if you want to play the violin, you're actually the devil. Ultimately, what makes Spectra a fall song is its ability to blend these elements. Complex chords, jazz-inspired harmonies, orchestral textures, and the evocative power of strings into a cohesive whole. The result is a composition that feels like an auditory representation of autumn, capturing both its beauty and its poignancy. Whether or not it was selected for the Bond movie, Spectra stands as a testament to the timeless connection between music and the seasons.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks it'd blow our minds. There's a starman.
David Bowie's 1972 hit song, Starman, has experienced a resurgence in popularity thanks to a meme that has brought new attention to this classic. However, much like Radiohead's Spectra, many listeners might not realize that Starman could be interpreted as a subtly crafted autumnal song. Let's delve into the elements that give it this unique seasonal quality, starting with its chord progression. This is a captivating blend of chords that include the evocative seventh chords as seen with Spectra. These types of chords often lend themselves to a wistful and nostalgic sound, which can evoke the reflective mood commonly associated with autumn. While it's up to the individual listener to decide, I'd argue that the use of these chords is one of the elements that contribute to the song's autumnal atmosphere, as it has since appeared in both songs. A standout feature of Starman is its violin parts, especially during the choruses. When you listen closely to these sections, the violins seem to embody the essence of fall. The way they are played with their sweeping, emotive lines brings to mind the images of leaves drifting to the ground or a crisp autumn breeze brushing against your skin. Here, listen to it. To me, this is a testament to why the violin is such a powerful instrument for evoking seasonal nostalgia. It captures a delicate balance of melancholy and beauty, perfectly suited to reflect the tone of autumn. Looking at the genre, Starman is rooted in pop rock, which, coincidentally, shares some similarities with Spectra, a song that also fits neatly into the broader pop category. This genre might be another subtle link between fall songs. Pop music's accessible structure combined with nuanced emotional depth seems well suited to capturing the mood of the season. Again, whether genre feels a defining role in making a song feel autumnal is open to interpretation, but the connection is intriguing.
Well, it's a marvelous night for a moon dance. All the stars up above in your eyes. Fantabulous night to make romance. Be the cover of October's skies.
While Starman by David Bowie and Radiohead's Spectra capture the spirit of autumn through their pop sensibilities, it's time to turn our attention to another genre, jazz, and explore its profound connection to the season. Jazz, with its layered emotional depth and rich textures, often feels like it was made for autumn. One song that stands out as a quintessential representation of this is Van Morrison's 1970s classic, Moondance. Let's break down the elements of this timeless piece to understand why it feels so deeply tied to the fall season. The chord progression of Moondance is as follows. This reveals yet another instance where seventh chords play a key role in creating a fall-like atmosphere. These chords, with their characteristic complexity and slight dissonance, evoke the bittersweet emotion associated with autumn, the beauty of change tinged with a hint of melancholy. This connection between add 7 chords and autumn-like songs has emerged as a recurring theme, further reinforcing the theory that they contribute to the evocative qualities of seasonal music. Where Starman and Spectra leaned heavily on stringed instruments to convey their autumnal tone, Moondance shifts the focus to brass and piano, creating a warm and nostalgic soundscape that perfectly complements the season. The saxophone, with its smooth, breathy timbre, feels like a sonic representation of a brisk autumn breeze. The piano, meanwhile, introduces an old-world charm, its acoustic warmth akin to the cozy feeling of a fall evening spent by a fire. Together, these instruments conjure the earthy, reflective quality of autumn, grounding the song in the sensory experiences of the season. Unlike the previous songs, which relied more on musical mood to evoke fall, Moondance directly references the seasons in its lyrics, solidifying its connection.
A fantabulous night to make romance beneath the cover of October skies.
And
With all the leaves on the trees are falling to the sound of the breezes that blow.
these vivid descriptions place the listener firmly within an autumnal setting, capturing the essence of the season with imagery of falling leaves and crisp October skies. The lyrics not only set the scene, but also amplify the emotional resonance of the song, making it a celebration of autumn's beauty and romance. What makes Moondance so compelling as an autumn song is the way it blends mood, instrumentation, and lyricism into a cohesive experience. Jazz, as a genre, is inherently reflective and nostalgic. The improvisational nature of jazz, with its ebb and flow, echoes the unpredictability of autumn weather and the transitional nature of the season itself.
It's dreamy weather we're on. You waved your crooked wand along an icy pond with a frozen moon.
Our final song in this exploration of autumnal music is Tom Waits' hauntingly beautiful 2002 track, Alice. Much like Van Morrison's Moondance, Alice captures the essence of fall through its instrumentation, lyrical cadence, and emotional resonance. As we delve into its structure and feel, it becomes clear that Alice continues to build up upon many of the musical and thematic elements we observed in other autumnal songs, tying them together in a way that is uniquely its own. The chord progression for Alice is This offers yet another example of the integral role seventh chords play in creating the quintessential autumn song. With their nuanced harmonics, seventh chords evoke a sense of melancholy and complexity that mirrors the season's dual nature, a time of beauty and change, but also of quiet reflection. The fact that every song we've discussed employs these chords solidifies their status as a hallmark of autumnal music. In Alice, the progression feels introspective, as if it's inviting the listener to sit with their emotions and embrace the fleeting nature of the season. Much like Moondance, Alice relies heavily on brass and keys to build its atmosphere. The muted brass instruments, often a landmark of Waite's arrangements, imbue the track with a smoky, almost noir-like quality. Meanwhile, the piano provides a grounding, acoustic warmth that feels as if it were pulled straight from a dimly lit lounge on a rainy autumn night. The instrumentation conjures images of rustling leaves in a deserted city street, illuminated by a soft glow of a lamplight, a scene as quintessentially autumnal as it gets. While Alice doesn't explicitly name-drop autumn in the way that Moondance does, its lyrics and structure are steeped in the season's essence. The song unfolds like a lullaby sung by a world-weary narrator, painting vivid emotional landscapes without ever over-explaining. Waite's grizzled voice, a defining feature of his style, adds a layer of depth and nostalgia, much like the feeling one might get from the crackle of leaves underfoot or the faint scent of wood smoke in the air. It's easy to imagine the song as the lament of a grizzled 1940s detective staring out at a windswept city while lost in memory, a scene that feels deeply tied to the mood of autumn. Though vastly different in genre, Alice shares a surprising kinship with Radiohead's Spectra. Both songs lean into atmospheric melancholy, creating an emotional landscape that feels almost cinematic in its scope. The noir-like quality of Alice is mirrored in Spectra's brooding, Bond-esque aesthetic, with each song using instrumentation, whether brass and keys in Alice or sweeping strings in Spectra, to convey a mood of quiet reflection. Additionally, both tracks use restrained yet evocative vocals to tell their story, allowing the listener to feel the weight of each word and note. The result is a shared sense of bittersweet beauty, perfect for the contemplative nature of fall. At its core, Alice feels like an auditory representation of autumn. The smoky brass and warm piano mirror the earth tones of the season, while the lyrics steeped in longing and nostalgia evoke the reflective quality of fall's shorter days and lengthening nights. It shares the same bittersweet DNA as the other songs we discussed, Starman's ethereal beauty, Spectra's cinematic melancholy, and Moondance's romantic nostalgia, but distills them into something uniquely raw and personal. That about does it for tonight's episode, folks. Thanks for tuning in and spending a little of your evening with me. Wherever you are listening from, whether it's a quiet corner of your home, a late night drive, or maybe just drifting off in bed, I hope the music we've talked about tonight keeps you company like a warm blanket on a cool autumn night. So until we meet again, take care of yourselves, keep the tune spinning, and let the fall breeze carry you into sweet dreams. From me to you, good night.